Hello and welcome to Cheshire Audio. Now what I'm going to do today, I've been asked regularly about sort of suitable cartridges for the Rega Planar 3. I probably will do a video about the Planar 2 and the Planar 1 and whatever else, but it seems to be the three that the ones I get asked about a lot. And what I'm going to do is sort of just run through a few models which are sort of cover from the early Planar 3 through the various versions of it, like the P3, the RP3, P324, and then right up to the modern Planar 3 again, because really they all suit the same cartridges, so it's going to be relevant for all of it. So what I'll do, it's going to be quite tricky because some of these cartridges are actually fitted to decks. Some I haven't actually got any of, so I might have to just put a picture of. But anyway, we'll see how it works. I'm going to try and do this in the shop rather than lay things out on a table upstairs. So hopefully it'll work out. But let's give it a go. Right, let's have a look. Okay, so we're down in the showroom. Got some cartridges up there to have a look at, and we'll have a look at our Rega 3. So if you buy a new Rega 3, you can either buy it without cartridge, or at the moment they're bundling them with the Exact, which is about £270 on its own. So I think if you buy it as part of the sort of bundle, it's you get it for £200 really. So that's kind of worth doing. Because the Exact is brilliant. It is a really good cartridge, and it obviously suits the Rega really well. And you can use your 3-point mount on it as well. Usually they used to bundle it with the Elise, and that will come back again. But there was a bit of a production issue with the Elise, and they had to discontinue it for a while. But they've sorted that now, so that's any time now that should be available again. So I think the bundle price with an Elise is about £680. So quite a bit less than with them. The Exact is quite an expensive cartridge, but it is good. Big truck going past. So yeah, if you buy either buying without cartridge or whether you've got an older P3 that you're wanting to upgrade. Okay, so I've just lined up sort of recommended cartridges. Well, some of the recommended cartridges that we do. I'll put the Elise here because obviously it's coming back in again. Just have a little look at it. Fixed stylus on these, obviously sort of kind of criticised for that, but actually it's to do with sound quality, and a lot of the reason that the Elise and the Exact are very good is because of the fixed stylus, I think. 3-point mount, which is unusual. So 3-point mount, but just for Rega arms. If you put them into something else, you just use the two main bolts. They do get slated on forums, these, and I don't particularly know why. The Elise particularly gets slated on forums. I can sort of see what people are saying about it, but I don't know, I think they can sound a bit, well, the Elise particularly can sound a little bit sort of raggy occasionally, a little bit rough and ready, but it's actually got a very sort of endearing sound. It's very musically engaging and very pacey sounding. But if you're sort of going to judge it on clarity and on definition and on all these, if you're going to do a little tick box thing, it wouldn't fare very well. But if you want to put it on and listen to it, it actually does engage you with the music very well. So I'll put that one to one side. Like I say, it should be back in production soon, that one. Which I'm going to jump. Probably one of the favourites at the moment. This is an Audio-Technica VM95. Now this replaced the very, very long-lived, or long-running, should I say, 8095. Well, it's still a 95. Which was there was a single version of it, and then later on there was a sort of an alternative stylus that we did for it. The VM, there's 5 different stylus profiles you can buy for this. So the same body, there's 5 different styli you can get for it. This is the E, which is the second from the bottom. I tend not to do the basic one. There's a one called a 95C, which is a conical tip, which is a very basic stylus. The E is a sort of finer profile, and it's a bit more refined and a bit better definition than the straight C. That's a good upgrade from something like a Rega carbon cartridge if you've got one of those. Above that, there's the EN, which is what they call elliptical nude, and the colour, that's a different. They all have different colour stylus pots. So the green is the stylus carrier here. Can work. And the EN is probably the same colour too. I'll come back to this in a minute. But the Nagoka, that is sort of the beigey colour like the Nagoka. EN's, like I say, elliptical nude, and again finer profile stylus tip, so the diamond is more shaped. to the shape of the groove. Much more refined the EN. That's probably in some ways the sort of best value in the range in some ways, because it gives you quite a big jump in performance. The EN. It's about £100. This one's about 50. EN's about 100, so it's twice the price, just for a slightly different profile, but pays dividends. It's a much cleaner sounding cartridge. The EN. I mean, you could almost argue this is quite raggy, a bit like the Elise, but the EN isn't. It's very refined. And above that, there's the ML, which is like sort of a purple design. ML stands for microline. That's about £140-ish, I think, something like that. Again, more refinement, even more refinement than the EN. Stereo image is better on the ML from what I remember, and it tends to make a better job of your old recordings as well. It sort of tracks quite deep, so it seems to bring out the sort of musicality in quite, your older Duffer recordings. And above that, there's one called the 95SH, which is about £170, £160. Personally, I don't tend to do much with the SH. That's the Shibata tip one. I think a Shibata, that's quite a high-end profile, and I think it needs a cartridge that's probably got a bit more about it. I think, like I said, this is a plastic body with threaded inserts for bolts though, which makes it very easy to fit. But I think when you get to Shibata, you sort of need metal-bodied and a bit more tolerance, closer tolerances with it, really. Because I think the Shibata version of it can sound a bit bright. Really, it's nice and open in detail and big sound stage, but it can sound a little bit bright, really. Okay, so we'll move on to. We've got this is a bit of an old favourite. See, this one mentioned quite often forums actually. Now I'm going to go a bit controversial. I don't actually like this very much. I don't really like the red particularly. It's not awful. I just feel as though it sounds slightly bland. It does seem to work better in other brands of turntable. I've fit them in the Nottinghams, and they seem to work. It seems to work well in the Nottingham arm. In fact, I've got here that's the blue sitting in a Interspace Junior Nottingham, and suits it really well actually. I must say actually between the red, I think the red is like I said, a bit stale and a bit soft. The blue has got quite a lot more sparkle to it. So in some ways, if you are going to fit a 2M, then the blue is a lot better, really. And so far, all the cartridges I've been talking about haven't needed a spacer. I don't actually think that the 2Ms really do need a spacer in the Planar 3. It's sort of, looking at it, you could almost put in a couple of mil spacers just to try and straighten things up, but I don't think it doesn't seem to affect the performance particularly. I think probably if you were going to put a black in there, a 2M black, then you might find it runs quieter if it's got a spacer in it, but actual performance wise they work fine. They don't seem to need it at all. Actually working my way along the shelf here. And again actually this is quite good that they've got captive nuts in there, so very, very easy to fit. A bit awkward from the size of it actually to try and align in a head shell, really. And then we go on to this is a Goldring, a bit more of an unknown one actually, but this is a Goldring E3 captive. Seems to be a thing at the moment, captive nuts, but it's something you never used to see. But this thing's huge. It's a massive cartridge. This is the E3. Again, this is another range where you can interchange style. There's the 1, the 2 and the 3. I can't remember what the profiles are of these, but this is the one I tend to sell the most of. The E1, E2s are very good, but the 3 just seems to be the sort of sweet spot, really. Nice and very Goldring-like, actually. I don't know if anybody's ever owned a Goldring, they know what I mean. Very refined. Just lovely, big, sort of warm, refined sound, but very detailed as well. So there's warmth with detail, which is sometimes when you get warmth, you sort of lose that sparkle at the top, but not with the E3. It's a really good all-rounder. Again, it doesn't need a spacer. It looks very big, but it's actually about right, really, when you look at alignment. Oh, just going back to the 2M, I've got to say, interchangeable style eye with these as well. Although there's 4 models in the range, or there's a couple of sort of other versions, but there's 4 models. Body-wise, the red and the blue use the same body, but the bronze and the black use a different body, even though the style eye are interchangeable. This body isn't as good as the one that they use on the bronze and the black. So if you want to upgrade through the range, you can put a blue stylus in this, but if you want to go further, you need to swap the body to get the full benefit of it, really. After these few, just saw it briefly. Right, so we've got, this is the, as I just saw before, Nagoka MP110. I think the thing with the Nagoka is it's a really good all-rounder. It's lovely and warm, it's got loads of detail, it's a nice big open sound, very engaging. I suppose it's probably, you know, almost as engaging as a Rega cartridge, almost as detailed as an Audio-Technica, almost got the warmth of a gold ring, but it gives you sort of 90% of everything. So it's a really good all-rounder. It's a cartridge that you can't really not like. It does give you a bit of everything. The one thing that people say about it is that you've got to have a spacer, and it doesn't. It's absolutely spot on in a Rega arm. Just to try and I think the reason this has come about, this is me having a go at forums again, really, which I should try and stop doing. But what I've heard people say is, well, it's 2 or 3 millimeters deeper than a Rega cartridge, and yes, it is. You're dead right. That's using it against an Elise. It's a good 3 millimeters taller. But when the Rega arm was designed and brought out, this cartridge body wasn't used. I mean, the original bias was a few years after. The cartridge that they had at the time was based on a Supex, which I'm going to try. I can't do this with one hand, hang on. The cartridge they had at the time was based on a Supex, and it's called the R100. So the cartridge that Rega were producing when they actually designed the RB300 arm was that, which you can see. You can't see, can you? There you go. If I put it next to it, it's actually the same height as a Nagoka. If anything, it's slightly taller than the Nagoka. So this one is kind of the reference point. And if you look at cartridges, well, you know, I've fitted a lot of cartridges to Regas, and the ones that need spaces are the ones that are substantially taller than the Nagoka. Pretty much nothing else does, really. I think there's only things like Autofon Quintet, which definitely need a spacer. I think some of the Dynavectors do, actually. I don't do Dynavector nowadays, but I think some of those do. But yeah, Nagoka doesn't need a spacer in Rega arm. It's absolutely spot on. None of the models need it, even though they look big and chunky and whatever. They don't need a spacer. So back up to if my knees will stand it. Let's get back up to the top. There we go. So they're the main few. I mean, the gold ring, there's all the models in the range. I mean, the old 1000 series that's been around for years works well in this Planar 3. So that's the 1006, the 1012, the 1022, 1042 still sell fair numbers of, really. Some people just keep replacing the star, and they've had them for years. I think they're a little bit too polite sometimes in a Planar, but very nice, sort of just a very nice, pleasant presentation. Got those gold rings. I've never really got on with the 2000 series, so I don't tend to do that. But E series really good. I really like those. I think it's a good value cartridge, really, because it's like a 1042 actually getting quite expensive now. Other than that, our agents for Hannah, I mean, the Hannah's fine. It's probably pushing it a bit in Planar 3. I think if you certainly in Planar 6, Planar 8, Hannah, worth doing. There's not really many moving coils. I know people will put Anya's into Planar 3s. I don't think it quite justifies it. It sounds okay, but I think if you're going to spend that amount of money, you'd probably be better to think about a cheaper cartridge in a better deck, going for a P6, or adding a power supply on, or something like that. Anyway, so it's yeah, I hope you like that one. I'll probably, like I said, do a Planar 2 version of this at some point, and possibly a Planar 1. Whether it's worth doing the 6, 8, 10, I don't know. I'll think about that one. But actually, the 10 could be interesting, because the 10 you can put anything into it, really, and but there are some really good high-end coils and things like that work well in a 10. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe and give us a like. If you've got any questions, I'd probably say don't put them in comments. I tend to say now, if you can put them if you send me an email, the email will be the end of the recording, and possibly give me a call. Actually, just give me a ring. I can't actually I'm really struggling to keep up with comments at the moment, because I'm getting 30 or 40 a day, and which is lovely. I mean, I sort of flick through them if I can, but yeah, it's difficult to keep up with it. So yeah, give me an email, phone call. That'd be great. Just do that. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, and I'll see you in a future video. Thank you very much.